Welcome back to Filmonomics at Slated. I'm Steph Paterno, and for you regular subscribers to our series, you may recollect a couple episodes ago, a couple of our filmmakers commented on the lack of adventurousness of the buyers out there, the distributors. Well, we thought it would be interesting to invite in a couple distributors for our recent Filmonomics talks and to hear their perspective on how they choose which films to get involved in, what their calculus is from market to market. So we have the pleasure of having David Jordan as well as Patrick Ewald, and sitting in between them is Todd Harris, the producer of The Kids Are All Right, adding in his own perspective as a producer. Flanking them is our very own Sue Devine, our head of investor relations, as well as Jason Scoggins, our VP of monetization. Let's go watch some of the highlights.
The other thing worth noticing is the way the ground is shifting now is you're seeing the power being given more to the platforms like Netflix and Amazon. And so these guys, eventually down the line, they'll be looking for volume content, not just single piece of content. So the job of the distributor, which is going to come out and bid on your movie against their competitors in each territory, that's going to shrink. It's already shrunk, but it's going to shrink even further. And the power players are going to become the Netflix and the Amazon. And these guys are going to be buying, and they're going to be buying in bulk. And in order for them to buy all your little movies that you can't sell, you're going to have the big Hollywood movie that they want. And then you're going to loop it all in one go, and that's how you're going to make business. So I think that's what's going to happen coming up. But I don't think we're there now. I think that we're at a point where it's very, very difficult to make small movies work. And again, you have to focus on theatrical playability and whatever that means, where that means, whether it is in emerging markets, whether it is in America. So you have to really know your audience, tailor your project to how you want to see it being distributed, and go with that, and not necessarily try and please everybody because you can't.
I mean, I think what happened to the music business is happening to some extent to the film business, and it's not called Spotify, it's called Netflix. So, right, we were pissing and moaning about this just a few minutes before we sat down here to discuss it. We just got a check from Netflix today because they're paying us in drips and drabs over time for this one title. They gave us one amount of money. Now, what the tough thing is that we don't know whether that movie's been seen 5,000 times or 500,000 times. That's the really tough part, and that's the part where I think transparency there's going to have to be something, because it's going to crater the movie business as a whole if something doesn't change about that. I think that the businesses are going to demand a more equitable representation. It may mean that certain things that would have gotten done better with flat fees are going to suffer when they don't get them. But I hope what it means is that it will become more of a meritocracy, and that titles that are performing above expectations will get a bigger piece of the pie.
We're not receiving that data yet. I think it's very, very early stages for it to become a piece of a business model. There's no way to compute exactly or forecast the VOD performance of a title. I mean, I'm not talking about for North America. I'm talking about internationally. I think that depending on the territory, it's big or small. There's different amount of players. When you talk to distributors, they'll tell you, oh, it's peanuts, it's little money, but they don't give you actual physical numbers. They don't give you stuff yet. So I mean,
but are you seeing numbers for iTunes and Amazon and the
No,
rental?
I don't think we're seeing. I mean, correct me
It's
if I'm
one thing
wrong.
to talk about subscription revenue.
We are. Well, domestically, we're seeing them. Internationally, you have to kind of pull back a couple layers to get to the real numbers. And VOD is definitely not caught up to where it is in the U.S.
Super elusive.
Are you getting domestic VOD numbers? And
we distribute in the U.S. Yeah, so we're going directly to iTunes and Netflix.
And are they paying you just in advance, and that's the end of it, or are they paying?
Well, Netflix pays in advance, and it's a flat fee, no matter whether 1,000 people watch it or 10 million people watch it. It's the same amount. But on iTunes is the difference is it's transactional, so it's per click. So you're not getting in advance for for independent films, you're not getting in advance. For studio films, they are putting up some advance. iTunes is not. I'll tell you, it's not the saving saving. It's
No.
actually transactional VOD on like on Time
Cable.
Warner or on the cables and stuff like that. That's people don't really talk about it. That's if you can get in there and you can transact on the cable platforms. You can really make some serious money.
Honestly, when Sue asked me to come and speak on this, I said I know this part and I know that part. I'm hoping somebody's going to talk to me about VOD because I mean I don't have a great answer for you. And the person who needs to because if Reed Hastings doesn't come up with some transparency for his suppliers, then he's going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. Because I feel like, you're right. VOD is completely the DVD market now. And if we can't get those numbers, then we can't finance movies. And if we can't get fair numbers from that market, then we can't finance movies.
Well, clearly it's impossible to talk about sales and distribution without Netflix rearing its head. And that is a good example of the shifting power dynamics with online distributors versus the traditional distributors. That said, clearly everybody needs more data. And as much as everybody is a believer in the future of online distribution, it's getting access to the data, having transparency on what the viewers are actually viewing, how many viewers, for how long, all those wonderful things that would help everybody make a better decision. And this subject of the shifting power dynamics was also very present at the American film market, where I had the pleasure of giving a talk about Slated and how it fits into the current marketplace. But that is for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in as usual. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.